Disney was once the dominating force within Hollywood. They would see many more successes than they did failures, but that's just not the case anymore. And Snow White, the live action adaptation that just came out, was supposed to be a smashing success for them. They wanted it to make $1 billion, clearly, judging by the hundreds of millions that they put into it. But funny enough, in weekend two, it has already fallen off a steep 66%. And the blue collar drama, A Working Man, the latest Jason Statham film, has already beaten it at the box office. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, Disney used to dominate the box office. They would hold the top spot for weeks upon weeks, even if they had some serious competition, but it seemed that it was going to this weekend hold steady until next weekend when Minecraft comes out, but that is clearly not the case now because the dismal performance of Snow White in its second weekend is more bad news for them and puts the live action pick in official bomb territory after falling off a steep 66%. Now, Jason Statham movies come out all the time and they're always semi popular, but they never, in my wildest dreams, would have directly competed and overthrown something like a Disney live action adaptation because Disney puts hundreds of millions of dollars into their movie. They expect these films to make $1 billion. They need them to be smashing successes. And well, it is hard to compete with a company like Disney that has so many years of fanfare and nostalgia that people remember. And plus, they, of course, have a lot of money that they put into marketing. But, well, none of that turned out to be a recipe for success for them because it says Middle America is taking charge of the box office where David Ayer's blue collar drama A Working Man beat Snow White in a surprise upset with a better than expected domestic opening of 15.2 million from 3,262 theaters. Snow White took in 14.2 million from 4,200 locations, so we're talking 1,000 more locations and $1 million less. That is absolutely insane to me. A steep decline of 66% as the live action update continues to be dogged by poor word of mouth and controversial headlines over its star Rachel Zegler. Hey, at least the Hollywood Reporter is finally admitting that Rachel Zegler's comments are controversial and that she has damaged the image of this film because just last week at launch they were saying, oh, it's just bigots online, basically, who are attacking this movie and she's not the controversial one, Gal is the controversial one. So I guess that they've finally gotten out of shill territory and decided they actually have to come back down to the real world. It says the film's domestic tally throughout Sunday is a muted 66.8 million domestically and 143.1 million globally. Now, overall, I think that Snow White is going to make more money because we are talking about domestic numbers that A Working Man beat Snow White, but either way, that's still not a good look for Disney because their primary audience is in the United States. They still need the domestic numbers to be really good, but that isn't the case. However, though, Disney isn't waving the white flag of defeat and says its movie could still avoid biting the poison apple because of rolling spring breaks over the next few weeks and little competition in terms of films targeting girls and females, even though they're saying that the Minecraft movie is expected to skew male, it does not matter. There is no shot that the Minecraft movie is going to do worse with any demographic than Snow White. The little girls will still go and see Minecraft because it looks like a more fun, light-hearted movie. This Snow White adaptation clearly has not sat well with many people. It hasn't resonated with any specific group, and I just don't see a way that a Minecraft movie is going to do worse than Snow White at this point in time when, again, a Jason Statham movie is doing significantly better. And not only is it making more money in the box office, but it's also doing significantly better in terms of review scores. Taking a quick peek, we have Disney's Snow White right here. All critic and all audience are the scores we'll use. The all critic is a 41% and the all audience is a 19%. The top critic is a 29, which is even worse, and verified audience is a 74%, which isn't terrible, but I always say this, I don't particularly trust verified audience just because the website itself can kind of sift through the reviews that end up being accepted or not. Oh, this ticket wasn't valid. Oh, we couldn't validate this ticket. And then it ends up not going through. So I always take these scores with a grain of salt. I always go all critic and all audience. It is at least slightly more reliable, in my opinion. But looking at a working man, the top critic is a 46%, the verified audience is a 90%, and the all critic is a 52%, and the all audience is an 86%. So across the board, significantly better scores, which is just so funny to see because I bet that the people at Disney are freaking out at this point in time that they have put out this movie that, again, cost hundreds of millions of dollars and it's doing worse than a working man. I mean, we don't know any of these budgets for certain, but the estimated production budget of Snow White was 240 to 270 million, and that's not even considering marketing, which was rumored to be about 100 million. So let's just say $400 million for this movie compared to a working man, which most likely had a 50 million budget to make. Now, of course, we don't know the marketing for this either, but let's even say that's 50 million. So equal, or even 100 million. We are talking about significantly different figures here. We're talking about the difference of a movie that needs to make, if we're counting it at 100 million in total, like 250 million at the box office versus Snow White, which at 400 million needs to make like 900 to $1 billion. A massive difference here. And I love to see this happen. I love to see Disney losing because I used to love Disney. I used to love the princess movies. I used to love Hunchback of Notre Dame. I used to love movies like The Black Cauldron. I used to love movies like Cinderella, Snow White, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and I did like a couple of the live action adaptations. I thought that they were at least fun and lighthearted, and they kind of captured the essence of the original animateds like Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Cinderella, but as the years have gone on, they have just gotten further and further away from capturing that magic. Mulan was terrible, different in every way, shape, and form. You had them getting rid of characters like Mushu, getting rid of the songs, getting rid of the romance, adding in a witch character, bizarre. Then you had The Little Mermaid, which the major problem I had with that was the new songs, and of course, Holly Bailey was not an accurate casting, but even putting that to the side, I did not like the ending where they decided to have her save the day instead of Prince Eric, which made no sense because the end of the original movie, the whole point of it was that Eric would have sacrificed his life for Ariel, and that's what made King Triton realize that the humans were not bad, whatever. And now you have this where Snow White falls in love with a potato thief, and they put 6 brand new songs into this movie, which, by the way, these songs were failures from their movie Wish. They're songs that didn't make the final cut. So you have the CGI dwarves, which were really bad. You have a slew of really bad performances. Gal Gadot wasn't great in this. You have Rachel Zegler, who, again, was not great in this. Just a really, really bad movie all around, and they deserve to see this movie fail, and I do not see a way that this is going to make even close to $1 billion. There's no way that this is going to end up making the money that they expected it to, and yes, I do think that the poor word of mouth was a very big problem. Do I think it was the only problem with this movie? No, I do think that the general woes with the adaptation itself were a major problem. Let's say Rachel Zegler wasn't controversial. Let's say people weren't attacking Gal on her political stances. Let's say that all of that was put to the side. I do think that this still would have struggled and still would not have gotten even close to making the $1 billion that they expected. And I'm not going to sit here and say I feel all that bad for a company like Disney failing. If they had listened to their real fans over the years, maybe they wouldn't be in this situation. Maybe they wouldn't have made all of these changes and they wouldn't have hired a controversial actress, and they just would have hired people who actually cared about the source material and were not going into interviews talking about how, oh, the prince was a stalker and he was creepy and it's not 1937 anymore and we're modernizing. Like, that is not what an audience wants to hear their lead actress trashing the original material. So they're getting what they deserve. And right now, what they deserve is a massive failure at the box office. It will be interesting to see over the next couple of days what happens if we see a working man holding the lead, if it will end up kind of falling off, who really knows? But either way, weekend two, and this is kind of taking the cake right now. It's taking the lead, and this blue collar drama has beat Snow White domestically with a $15 million opening. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.